Welcome to Wake Up the Echoes, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone. Happy to have you back for another episode with head coach of Notre Dame men's basketball, Micah Shrewsberry. Haven't had a chance to talk to him in about 3 weeks, so we covered everything all the way back to Brooklyn, starting with the Legends Classic and that big win in overtime against Oklahoma State. A little bit later in the show, we talked to freshman guard Logan Imes, as well as new assistant coach Mike Fairley. It was great to talk to both of them and how they've adjusted to both Notre Dame as well as life in South Bend. Finally, at the end of the show, we talked to Notre Dame great Bonsy Coulson, caught up with him about what he's been up to since leaving campus and also relived some of his great moments here in South Bend. So let's not waste any time. Let's talk to the head coach, Micah Shrewsberry. All right, Coach, here we go. Second episode of the year with men's hoops. You were away for the last couple. I talked to Niel with women's basketball, but I'm glad to have you back. Haven't talked really since.
I bet that was way better than this one, by the way.
Niel?
No.
Yes. No. You guys are all great. I have no favorites on this show, but I do love Niel. She's great. Haven't talked since the first two games of the year, and I wanted to just do a quick debrief on where things stand. You guys are coming back off of two, obviously, really difficult road games to go into those environments. We want to go all the way back to Brooklyn first. I thought really one of the most impressive moments of the year so far was the way you guys responded after that Auburn game. A tough loss really late at night, right? You guys probably got back to the hotel around midnight, had to play the next day, quick turnaround. And I think the word we talked about on the pregame show on radio was resolve. To beat Oklahoma State, you beat them in overtime. Just what was your takeaway from that victory and the bounce back? Because it felt like a really important moment for this young team.
It was probably the first moment where we didn't have like a bunch of days to prepare for somebody. Mm-hmm. And which for a young team could be hard, right? There could be adjustments that we have to make from one game to the next. And, you don't have time to do it. So you really got to lean on your system and trust your system and trust what you've been taught up until that point. And I felt like we watched film from the day before, and then we watched film of Oklahoma State, and we really learned from that. And I felt like we got better in that film session leading into the game, and it carried over in the game. So, that was the first opportunity to do it, right? You simulate those tournaments, kind of simulate a tournament format when you want to be playing in March. Yeah. You got to be able to do that, and it was our first opportunity to do it, and I thought we handled it well.
I thought you guys were great in overtime because I think you're down 4 at one point. That was just a game that felt like it at the end had a lot of chances to not go your way, and when a team finds a way to make sure it does, I think you learn a lot, especially a young group. The guy I wanted to talk about a little bit more in depth just on that weekend was JR. I mean, he's someone that's a local product, so guys around here have been really keyed in on like how's JR developing. I think he averaged a double-double, like 14.5, 10.5. I think the way he's been hitting the glass is just really fun to watch. What was your takeaway from his weekend in New York?
He played with so much energy that entire game. And I keep telling these guys that, like, if you do what we ask and you play as hard as possible, like you can pick your minutes, right? Like, I'll call a timeout to give you a break. If you're going to play, the way that he played, like he should play all the time. Yeah. And he's continued to do that. He's played really hard. He's kept it simple on offense. He's taken open shots when he's had them. He's attacked closeouts. He's driven the ball and like been under control and has gotten good shots. But he's also passing it, finding teammates. Like that weekend started a really great trajectory for him. And one of the coolest things for me is talking to him here earlier this week or last week, and he's like, man, like, thank you for believing in me, right? And I think he's kind of building off of that. And, he's got a great future ahead of him.
He's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch him, like you said, hit the glass. It led me to something that I've heard you mention, and I wanted to dive into it because we get the opportunity on this show to talk maybe a little bit longer about things. But I've heard you say multiple times you're not going to coach effort. can you expand on that and just explain? Because I think you've talked about with rebounding, whether it's going to be diving for loose balls, what it might be. What do you mean when you say you won't coach effort, and how does that play into your larger coaching philosophy?
Yeah. You only get so many minutes in practice.
Okay.
Like, if we want a game plan, like we game plan for everything on offense and defense, and you got to spend that time doing it. You also got to spend time on your fundamentals of offensively and defensively of how you want to be good. Well, what else do you want to focus on? And, everybody does it different ways, right? Like winning is not a one-way thing, right? You can do it a lot of different ways. And I've been a lot of places. There's places where, we work on rebounding a lot, and there's teams that have had a lot of success doing it.
Yeah.
There's other teams that do loose ball drills, and they roll the ball out, and they go and dive on it. And I don't know, one of the things that I usually think about is, like, everybody wants to win. In order for you to win, you have to do those things. Like if the ball's on the floor, you have to dive on it if you want to win. Mm-hmm. You have to rebound if you want to win. So if winning's important, then why don't we just do it without working on it? Right? Like, that's where I always say, like, I'm not going to coach effort. I'm not going to coach people playing hard, because playing hard leads to winning. Like, if you want to win, you're going to play hard. Mm-hmm. If you want to win, you're going to rebound. If you want to win, you're going to dive on the loose balls. So, like, we don't need to practice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was, when I heard you say it for the first time, it like a light bulb went off in my head, because I had flashbacks to doing war drill like in high school. And it was like when Tom Izzo was like peak Michigan State. Yes. Like, here's what they do. They bring out the pads, and they say you're gonna run, and you hit someone, and you turn and you go rebound. And it had an impact. And then I looked up at the end of the year, and I was just thinking, I was like, we couldn't score. Yeah. We could rebound, but we couldn't score. I thought it was, if you want to win, you'll go hit the glass.
Yeah.
There was an interesting thing I hadn't thought of.
Early on, we'll do some technique about how to box out.
Okay.
Right? If people were in certain places.
Sure.
But, like, we don't do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do it every day. But now it's more about, I step to my man. If he's coming, like, I got to hit him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if not, he's going to hit me.
Right.
That's not very fun.
Yeah. The Maryland Eastern Shore game, I thought, was the most complete game you played this year. I think the numbers are 18 assists, 13 threes. I imagine from your vantage point, when you watch that film, when you take the opponent out of context, that's the way you want your team to look, probably on both sides of the floor. What was encouraging for you in that game, and what do you think you can take from that game and replicate as the year goes along?
Well, each opponent's different, and they were one of the teams that kind of helped us get into rotations, or they got into rotations just by how they guarded.
Okay.
Right? Some people don't rotate at all, and you have to force them to. But when you get people into rotations, now you got to move it, you got to swing it, you got to play the right way. I thought we did that. I thought our assist numbers were high. We got looks in transition. We got drive and kick opportunities. We got extra passes. And all of that opens up, wide open shots, but also wide open drives to the rim when you get the defense scrambling, but offensive rebound opportunities as well. So all of those numbers kind of tie in together.
Right.
Like, it's hard to beat people on the first side. Like, if I don't move the ball, I keep it on one side. Like, I'm not getting to the basket. I'm not getting an open shot. It's going to be hard for me to rebound too, because I'm not in position. They're in position to box out. So that was the one game where we really got it moving. We really got it swinging side to side, and everything kind of opened up for us.
Let's talk about the two games on the road most recently, South Carolina and Miami. I think I saw the schedule come out. I think a lot of people knew this would be a tough stretch, because you got to go on the road to an SEC building, then a top 10 team. What did you learn in these two games? I think I heard in your press conference there's no moral victories, but there's still stuff you can take away from these two losses and build upon. What are those things, and what did you see, and what do you think the value is for a young team to go into true road environments and come out of there with something that they've learned?
Yeah, like, back-to-back games. You got to go on the road, all right? And it's not like they were around the corner either. Like, you fly to South Carolina, and you come back home, and you turn around and fly to Miami. Like, those are long trips. But you got to get ready. You're playing quality opponents. You're playing old teams, and that's the one thing. You look at, I'm a big Ken Pom guy, and you look, and Miami and South Carolina are two of the oldest teams in the country, and here we are 6 from the bottom. Like, I think we're 351 or something in experience. So, first road games for a lot of these guys. And, I thought we handled it really well. I thought we played really well. We just we weren't able to sustain it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that we got to take. On the road, you have to sustain that effort, that focus for the entire game in order for you to win. I thought we played at South Carolina. I thought we played well for
36 minutes.
36 minutes.
This is the one stint between the 2 media timeouts.
Yeah. And then Miami, the same thing. There was a run in the first half where, they got it to 8 or 9 points, and that, it was turnover. They were getting pick sixes, dunking on the other end or getting an open threes, and that opened the game up. And everything else, we were even.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do we handle, being able to play the right way, eliminate those stretches the next time we go on the road?
Yeah. The guy who's played well in the 2 losses is Tay Davis. He's somebody who, and I think you said in the post game, he's getting better every game. And I really am fascinated by the way you use him. You have him bring the ball up a lot. Just what have you seen from Tay, and what kind of playmaker can he be for you as he continues to get better each and every week, it seems like?
Yeah, and I think he can still get better.
Yeah.
He's got a – we've talked about this with him, just being a little more detailed with his passing. At his size,
Mm-hmm.
he can see over the top of defenders when he's coming out of the pick and rolls. Now, making the right pass to the right guy at the right time is something that we want to continue to grow with. But his confidence has skyrocketed every single game. And he's attacking the basket and scoring well. He's rebounding well. He was at, I think, getting over 2 offensive rebounds a game. And then he also, at the same time, he's guarding the best player on the other team. So, he started the game guarding Wooga Poplar, who's, preseason first team all ACC guy. Trying to think of who he guarded at South Carolina. Studi at South Carolina, who's their their best shooter as a perimeter guy, right? To be able to go from guarding different guys, different positions, we move him all over the court. Whoever the best guy is, we start by putting Tay there. And then we put everybody else around that. So he's taking on a lot of responsibility, and he's playing really hard, and hope he can continue this stretch that he's on.
Okay, hard shift here to a non-basketball topic because I want to dive into this. Soft drink of choice for you is a Dr. Pepper, not diet, straight Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Fountain.
So I was going to get into this.
Yeah.
Can we rank these? Fountain, plastic bottle, glass bottle, and can.
Okay. Fountain's 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm particular with my ice as well. I'm a fat ice guy.
Fat ice,
not
cubed. You don't want little chunks.
I don't like the little chunks.
Okay.
I think, and this is, when you're a fountain connoisseur like I am, you appreciate this. That I think the drink stays in the fat ice a little bit, right? There's little remnants left in the fat ice. So then you might take, I eat a little bit of the ice at the end. And you still get some Dr. Pepper in there.
You're saving a little snack for later.
Save a little snack for later. But, yeah, Fountain 1, easy. I'm not a huge bottle guy.
Okay.
It's hard for the bottles to get cold, right? So
they're too packaged, well packaged, too well insulated. Got it.
So the plastic bottle might be 4 for me.
Okay.
I don't get very many glass bottles. So, but I'm
if you had one,
I'm guessing it would be 2.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it would be 2. The cans are 3, even though I have more of the cans because they're just sitting in my office.
So the most readily available.
Easily.
Just sitting right there, quick crack and go.
But Fountain, that is number 1. Fat ice fountain.
McDonald's fountain?
Absolutely.
So that's the best fountain. It was I think it was Chad Johnson, who said Coke, McDonald's fountain, no matter what.
Yes.
Their fountains, there's something going on there. They have a different recipe or something?
They have a different recipe. The ice is unbelievable. Great ice.
McDonald's ice?
McDonald's ice. Yes. I think they sell ice, don't they? I thought I saw a commercial where they sell bags of ice for tailgates and stuff.
Really?
I might just go and buy bags of ice and just keep it at my house so it's readily available.
You should. I'm thinking of McDonald's ice now. It's kind of like a square?
It is a square.
It's the square,
Yeah.
and I know there's the little ridges, and it gets caught in there.
It's caught inside.
That is good ice. So our new freezer has big ice and little ice, and my wife's been really into the little ice recently, and I get it. It's a little bit more manageable. The big ice can get clunky because it's big cubes, but you're right. The McDonald's ice. I mean, McDonald's fountain drink. It does hit like almost nothing else. It's pretty good.
The Dr. Pepper thing is, I don't know, fairly recent, last few years.
Oh.
But I was regular Coke for a long time. So every once in a while, I'll like go to McDonald's and just let me have a Coke.
Get back into your roots.
Yeah, get back into the roots. Remember where I came from.
Okay, good to know. I'm glad we settled that debate. Last one before we take our first break is just about basketball again. This week, you got a couple games. I want to look forward a little bit. I know you got a big one on Tuesday, but I just want to talk about Marquette and the opportunity to go out there. It's a great rivalry, Notre Dame and Marquette, that's back on the schedule these last couple years. I was thinking, was Shaka at the same Final Four? Was VCU the year after you guys, or no? So VCU was there? Okay.
They were there, yeah.
They were there in that Final Four. Did you guys
We did play.
You did play?
Yeah,
okay.
Coach Gather was on staff at VCU as well.
Really?
Yeah, not that I remind him at all when we bring it up. So, no, the same one, same Final Four, and we played them 2011 in the first game.
And what are the memories from that?
Us winning.
Yeah. Pretty simple, huh?
Very simple. Very simple.
The challenge then this week, they're obviously a great team. It's another great opportunity, like we talked about, going on the road. Just what are you looking forward to with both games this week, and specifically the opportunity to go play a great rival like Marquette?
Yeah, I think, both games, one, Tuesday, we get a chance to come back home and play, right? When you go on the road for a couple of games, you're so anxious to get back home and be in front of your fans. So I'm looking forward to that. But then playing the Marquette's going to be a great challenge, right? Like they're a really, really good team. I've watched them a few times just throughout the year, just casually, because I watch a lot of basketball. But they play fast, they play fun style. It's going to be a great challenge for us to guard them because they have so many great scores. And whether that's Tyler Kolek, who's like a preseason, All-American, to Iguodala's now climbing up draft boards, and the other guys on the wing are really good players, good shooters. So, I've been in the Fiserv Forum a few times. Yeah. In the old Bucks versus Celtics days. So, it'll be fun to go there. And, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people hating on the Irish in that building, but
that's good.
That's okay.
You like it that way.
Yeah, we're used to it.
Yeah. All right, Coach, appreciate it. We'll take a break, and we'll bring Logan Imes in. All right, Coach, we brought in another freshman. Logan Imes is joining us today. We're going to hear from him later about whether or not he was familiar with the AN1 mixtape growing up. Did we talk about AN1 mixtapes your first time here? I can't remember. I don't think we
did not. No.
I talked to Coach Freeman about it, and he gave me a few things. But who were your guys growing up, AN1 mixtape?
May rest in peace, Escalade, right? Like, I got a little, Mark Jackson's brother. Obviously, Mark Jackson was like a great Indiana Pacer point guard. So watching Troy, I think he played at Louisville too.
Did he play at Louisville? Really?
I think so.
Okay, wow.
But he was one of my favorites. Obviously everybody loved Hot Sauce, the Professor, like the guys that could dribble and do all the stuff. I wasn't a big fan of the dudes that like did all the dunks. Like it wasn't very
like
exciting.
Spida just hangs on. the rim,
it
right?
wasn't very exciting to me. But anybody that like so disrespectful to throw the ball off somebody's forehead, but anybody that did that, it was a lot of entertainment to watch that.
Yeah. Escalade was the guy that kept Professor on the bus when it was closed at the end, too. And then, again, there's something about Escalade being the size he was, and he had a ton of skill. It just kind of blew you away. You're like,
it did,
wow.
yeah.
Logan Imes is here, and I just want to know, when was the first time you watched him play basketball? Do you know?
Well, probably I saw him play on, like, video. They had, like, videos. Like,
like a mixtape, maybe.
I don't know if it was quite a mixtape.
Definitely not a mixtape. Definitely not a mixtape.
But it was like AAU. Okay. He was probably in like 8th grade. watching them. It was like highlights of a game.
Okay.
And watching that. But then I watched him play as a freshman in high school, and that was the first opportunity. I don't even know if you even remember. I stopped in recruiting right before the old Crossroads Classic, I believe.
Really?
And I saw you guys play your freshman year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, see? I don't know who you played, but
It's probably like 30 to 33 or something.
it was probably
Yeah.
very low scoring.
No shot clock, right? We talked about that
No
last
shot
time.
clock, yeah. But his freshman year,
Okay.
during the high school season, I watched him play
Okay.
on a recruiting trip, and then I got to watch him starting that summer and AAU every summer.
Sure. What for you, Logan? When did basketball become a thing that you thought you could play at this level? Like, how long has that been in your head?
I mean, it's always been a dream of mine,
Okay.
because I've always watched basketball growing up, and I always wanted to play college basketball. I think probably when I got to like freshman year, like that's like between freshman and sophomore year, I feel like I hit a growth spurt a little bit, got a little bit stronger, a little bit more athletic. I was like, all right, maybe I could do something here, And I feel like just after that and like just always working towards it, like it was always a goal in mind. And I think just when I got to that point, I was like, all right, this is something I can attain.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Coach, when you're watching a freshman then, and maybe he has to hit that growth spurt, how do you scout or how do you evaluate when you see someone and you say, okay, they might need 6 inches, but I got to keep them in the back of my head in case they hit that growth spurt? What's that process like for you?
Yeah, I mean, especially early on in high school, you hear about the names of different kids, right? Like I was an assistant coach at the time, and we were well on our way to older classes. Like we were already set. So I was like, well, I can start recruiting the younger classes and get a chance to see a bunch of these kids and see how they play, how they handle themselves at the varsity level, right? Zionsville was playing a really good schedule. So like he was playing against real people, right? Some people can put up big time numbers and they're not playing against anybody, but like I knew he was playing against real people. So, you kind of see it, and then you see how they handle themselves in tough situations, close games, all of those things. And, you can never like close the door or book on anybody that young. You just have to try and see and pick out what you can at that age and then follow them to see how they progress from there.
You mentioned playing in the 30s without a shot clock.
Yeah.
What is that like? What is that like? Is that frustrating when the score is that low?
I mean, my freshman year, we definitely utilized the no shot clock. It was a strategy for sure.
Okay.
It can get frustrating at times. Yeah, definitely in high school, you're just like, I feel like there's certain teams you play. I think people probably said that about us, they're just like a minute long possession, just swing, dribble, swing, I mean, when you're playing, you don't really feel it, but then like when you get subbed out, you're on the bench, you're like, and you look up and it's like 16 points with like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. It's like, I think our sectional game was 21-23 in my freshman year.
Final score?
Game winner. So it was 21-21.
And
we hit one. Huh?
You won. It was 21-21. You guys got the last
and
one.
we hit a game winner that game, 23-21.
When you really feel it is when you, like he said, when you get subbed out and you look and you're like, all right, I won't be out that long. But the possessions are so long. You're like, man, I just sat out for like 7 minutes of the game because there's no stoppages. It's like the game is just moving without stoppages, and everybody's just holding the ball. So if you come out of the game, like
you're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, wait till the quarter.
I think that's like the FIBA rules too, right? There was I think in one of those gold medal games against Spain, they had a tough time getting Kobe or LeBron back in because the substitutions are different and the clock wouldn't stop, and you can get in trouble if you don't have your right guys on the floor late in the game. We talked to Coach Fairley. You're going to hear from him later about how tough it is to adjust from high school to college. You just talked about when you're looking at freshmen in high school. Like, what do you look for in a young player when they're coming to play for you in this case? And what did you see in Logan that made you want to make sure that he played for you at Notre Dame as a freshman?
Yeah. The first thing that I saw and that stands out is his competitiveness. Right? He is he likes to take on challenges and is not afraid of challenges. Like, that's the one thing of getting to watch him a bunch of years in a row is when the game's on the line, like he can go and guard the best guy on the other team, and he can go and make plays as well, right? And that, like, some people shy away from that, and some people embrace that. But that was like something that really stood out to me, and I was like, oh, this is a tough kid right here. Like, and the moment's not too big for him.
Yeah.
So you need as many guys like that as you can get.
Right. You said, and then also when you played AAU, you played with Braden.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What was that experience like? What was it like with playing with his son over the course of the last few years?
Oh, it's been great. Obviously, me and Braden have grown really close as friends, and then our chemistry on the court's been really good the last couple of years. And I feel like, especially this last year too, we had like 7 guys. Most AAU teams carried 14. 5 of them never see the court. We had 7, so everyone plays. And me and Braden were always the backcourt guys, so we played together, worked really well with each other. And it was really fun to play with him. It's always like, he's perfect. Whenever we needed a bucket this summer, it was like, all right, let's run him off of like 3 different screens and get him a shot or something.
I haven't had a chance to ask you much about this, but like when you would go watch them AAU, right? You're a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever able to go to those games and watch as dad, or is it just you got to watch as coach? You're recruiting, you're thinking about all these things in the back of your head.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Right, like I knew their coach, right? So like he would ask me, hey, is there something you see, or we're getting ready to play this team that does this? Is there things that we could do to try and score? And I talked to him about that. But these guys, I tried to, as much as I can, just allow them to enjoy it.
Right.
But if there was something that I saw, I'd try and help them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted them to have fun. That was the biggest thing. And, like, I enjoyed watching them, right? Yeah. And, like, now it's pretty cool to see these 2 guys playing here. We're watching film, getting ready for our next game, and one of their AAU teammates was on the clips from the other team that they were playing, and, like, seeing highlights of one of the other guys that's playing in the SEC. Like, it's really cool to see all these guys grow. Actually, one of the guys that started out with him plays football at Ohio State. So to see him in the stadium, like all these guys are doing big time things.
Yeah.
And that for me is the best part. Like I love like seeing what they're doing, seeing where they started, but seeing what they're doing now is like really cool.
What kind of TV do you watch, Logan? Do you watch a lot of TV?
I mean, mostly sports, but like I've watched like some TV shows
When
like,
he's not studying.
Yeah,
Right.
Obviously,
Not studying,
we
watching
talked.
film
So
in the
I
gym.
shouldn't have gone there
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So it's late. You've gotten all your studying done. What do you flip on the TV? Not a lot. Mostly sports.
Usually, like now it's college basketball season, so I'm watching games.
I got you.
But like I feel like I've been watched a couple shows on Netflix. Like I was big into Breaking Bad, The Office, Ozarks. I've watched all those. Yeah.
Okay. What about reality TV? None.
Not really, no.
I thought we're gonna find someone that watches the challenge at some point. Do you know what he does after shoot around before games?
I don't. No.
He goes and watches. You know what the challenge is? MTV.
I've heard that.
Yeah, you should watch it at some point.
Maybe I was right.
Yeah, that's right. But he says he watches the challenge after shoot around before tip.
Like during pregame meal or whatever.
Like right after meal.
I grab my food and I walk back to the office. I eat it, lay on my couch,
Nice.
and I watch.
Does that make you
an
feel like
episode
maybe like head coach is watching the challenge 90 minutes before tip? Are you now worried about?
That's great.
That's
You need to
great.
take your mind. I do the same. I'm playing like games on my phone. I need anything.
You got to get away.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
watch some like YouTube show. YouTube, you're just not thinking about or like stressing about the game. Just kind of like having that time to just like be in your own little world for a bit is perfect.
Yeah, it can consume you if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Which you've been to both dining halls, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
I feel like my dorm is by South, but I go to North because it's by my classes and the facility's closer to it. So
I thought you were gonna say you go to North because it's better because
No.
that's the right answer. You know that.
I don't have a preference, to be honest.
So I need you to give me a vote. You got to.
I mean, I'll say North because I go there more often.
Because I pressured you into North. Coach,
Yeah,
have you been
that
to
works
both
too.
yet? Have you been?
I have been to both.
Do you have
Yes.
a preference?
I haven't gone enough to have a preference.
Okay.
The first time I went to South, I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. I got there, and it was actually before classes let out. And then right in the middle of my order, everybody came in, and I, like, talk about pressure. Like, coaching the game, I ain't nothing. Like, trying to, like, make a pasta dish on your own, and there's a whole bunch of people behind you waiting, like a huge line. Like,
And they know the process too. They know what they want.
oh,
Yeah.
that's pressure. I didn't know how to clean it out. Like, I just destroyed it. So I'm sorry for whoever was behind me in line there at South.
12:25 is what I found. If the schedule's still the same, is the worst time to be there. It's rush hour. When I was working full time here, I'd be there like 11:30, dead time, get my stuff, because you want to hit every spot. There's so many options, but North is my pick. I'll give you to the end of the year. And once you get back there a few times, you got to cast your official vote. It's pretty much even right now. I've asked Brady Quinn. I think he was a South guy. Maybe I think he was a South guy, like Mike Golick Jr. They all have their votes. Last one before we take a break. We kind of touched on it a little bit, and it seems like you're enjoying having Logan on campus and coaching him. But as you kind of look forward to his future, what excites you most about having him at Notre Dame for his basketball career?
I think one, before even basketball, like I think he's a really great fit here at Notre Dame. Just a kid that's serious about his academics, is like great in the community, is great on campus, that I think people can really rally behind, first and foremost. Like basketball wise, like I think like it's hard. Being a freshman's hard, right? Going to school as a freshman's hard. Playing basketball at the high major level's hard. And we're like, I see the growth every day from our team and our group, and even Logan, and like what we're doing, how he's playing. And like, I can't wait to be able to see it, right? I got a chance to watch him from a freshman through a senior in high school, now to get a chance to do it in college and see the growth as a player. He's going to be a great leader for us. He's going to be a great teammate. He's going to be a really good player for us. And like I keep saying that he's going to be a guy that ACC opponents will be like, is he still here? It's going to be one of those guys, like by his junior or senior
Joey
year.
Girard
like,
kind of guy.
What year is that kid? Is he still here at Notre Dame? It's like, yeah, he is. Yeah. Oh, he's still here.
Logan, for you, what are you looking forward to most in your Notre Dame career?
I mean, I feel like there's just like all the challenges to go tackle. I mean, like there's so much for us to accomplish, and like I feel like just being here at like the ground and like building it up, like I'm just so excited like where the future of this program is going, and that just like I could be a part of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm really excited to see what we can do over the next 4 years, and like the teams that we can beat, and like the things we can accomplish all together. And I think that's just what I'm most excited for. So.
Awesome. All right, we'll take a break. We'll get Coach Shrews out and bring Coach Fairley in.
Sounds good.
Right. All right, we've got Logan Imes, Coach Fairley. Thanks for joining us. Let's pick up where we were just talking about before we hit record here. 1842. I'll quiz Logan. What happened in 1842?
Notre Dame was founded as a university.
There you go.
Yeah.
Coach, you want to divulge a little bit of where this trivia topic came up from?
Yeah, so Father Pete, we had Mass the other night before we left for our game at South Carolina, and during his homily, I believe it was November 26th. Forgive me if I have the exact day wrong, but he said, anybody in here know what happened on November 26th, 1842? And just crickets from our whole squad and traveling party and everything like that. So good old Coach Farrelly raised his hand and said that was the day Notre Dame was founded. And everyone's looking at me like I'm sort of genius. And I was like, doesn't everybody know that? Come on. But if you see 1842 all over the place, and admissions decisions are sent out at 6:42 p.m. for 1842 military time. But
these are all things Logan now knows.
Yeah, so Logan's he's locked in now, so he can be the bearer of that torch moving forward.
It's a young group kind of learning all the Notre Dame traditions, right? You know about the end zone and the lines?
Yeah, is it something about like airplanes or no? Actually, maybe I'm wrong.
Dang, I appreciate the effort. It's something about airplanes. Coach, you want to fill in?
Well, I think that's we were told at one point that it was a landing strip originally.
Oh, so maybe then
maybe
I'm not on
was, but there's 9 slashes.
So like a certain degree
in each end zone. Yeah, like they say
42.
it's at 42 degrees, and it
Yeah.
points right towards the Golden Dome, and 18 lines at 42 degrees. We have them on our basketball court as well, if you'll notice at the sidelines.
Yeah.
It's making sense.
18, by the time you leave here, 1842 will be ingrained in
It'll
your head.
resonate for sure.
Yeah. I wanted to start with a topic that came up on the football show. And I'm going to ask this, I think, to every basketball player we get here, because you guys are now so young compared to me. Coach, I'm sure you feel the same way. Logan, And One mixtape. Are you familiar with the And One mixtapes?
Yes. I wouldn't say like I watched them, but I'm familiar of them. Yeah, like
Okay.
they are.
So, like, do you have any guys that
No.
you couldn't
No.
name a single one?
I mean, I don't think I could. I mean, I could. I'm thinking of like people. I just don't know if they're in And One.
So give me someone.
Like Bone Collector, was he in
Yeah.
And One? Okay. So like that's like the one guy that I can name.
Professor?
The Professor. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot Sauce?
No.
Spida? Coach, Let's.
Oh man,
who are you guys?
Like it was the biggest thing back in the day. You know those mixtapes, and you'd go and buy a pair of N1s just to get the mixtape at that point if you could. But no, such a big deal. And I'll go back to like the originals with Ray Farrelly and me growing up in New York. Of like, no, that was a big deal. Those mixtapes in the park. And then it grew, and then the tour came in after that, and then people trying to make the tour and the bus and the ESPN show and all that stuff. But shout out to my guy Seth Berger over at Westtown, one of the founders of N1. But no, back in the day when we were in high school and college, it was the biggest thing going.
It was like a cultural movement.
Yeah.
You mentioned Ray Farrelly, Skip to My Lou is who he was known. So you said you knew about him back when you were growing up?
Yeah, you know, I grew up right outside New York City, you know,
Yeah.
so he was a big deal before, and then he goes to Fresno and then on to the league, and obviously he had a roundabout path, but he was well known early on more for what he was doing in the parks than what he was doing at high school or college level.
Yeah.
But certainly a legend in New York City.
Logan, do you play outside at all growing up, or are you mostly an indoor?
I mean,
A1
obviously, I would
circuit guy?
prefer indoor, but I've definitely played outside a little bit. Yeah, there just wasn't like a lot of parks where I grew up where people would just kind of meet up and play. So if you're playing outside, it's probably by yourself or with one-on-one with a friend or something like that.
You grew up in Zionsville. Right?
Yeah.
What's Zionsville like? Because it's like 2 hours from here. I've only
Yeah.
driven through on the way to Indy.
Yeah, it's like a suburb in Indianapolis, like a regular suburb. I mean, it's not too big, so like everyone kind of knows each other. But I mean, I love my hometown. Like it was great. Like I had a great group of friends and stuff. High school was awesome. So yeah, it was just a small town, like a cool little downtown area too. We had like a brick road and stuff, but it was nice.
It's not too big.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, not too big.
Coach, I wanted to touch on your time at St. Joe's.
Yep.
And what I'm curious about first is just the experience. You played for Phil Martelli,
Yes.
right? What was Coach Martelli's impact on you? Because that guy's kind of a legend in the coaching ranks.
I don't know how long we have, but no, he's changed my life. You know, I made the team as an unrecruited walk-on in tryouts my sophomore year, and everything in my life changed beyond that. One of the other walk-ons was his son, Phil Martelli Jr., who's now the head coach at Bryant, who had become my best friend. And, I'm only in coaching because of Coach Martelli and his impact on me.
Yeah.
And just what he was able to do, with those teams and being a leader and such a mentor for me beyond that. But no, his impact is unbelievable on my life. And I'm still very, very lucky and blessed that to have him and him as a guiding light throughout this college coaching career that I've pursued.
And you were on the teams right before the year. Was your last year, the year before they had that 30-2 year with Jameer and Delonte. So you were with those guys before?
So hindsight, wish I would have redshirted. Then I could have been on that undefeated team, number one in the country. That would have been nice. One of my roommates was a starter on that team, and we were still living together at that point, so I went to all the games that year. I was actually coaching the JV team at St. Joe's at that point, so I was still very involved with the program. But, I was born a year too soon. I like to say that Jameer Nelson and I combined for 2,107 points in our careers. And that'd be a good backcourt. If you said to any college coach, like, all right, you're going to get two guards, they're going to combine for 2,107 points.
You take it.
We're taking it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not going to say who had 2,100 and who had 7.
Yeah.
But, it was a good duo.
When you first,
What are you laughing about, Logan?
I believe I know you're right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, come on, man.
backcourt, yeah.
Come on.
when you first encountered Jameer and I guess Delonte when they came on campus, did you just know that they were a cut above guys that usually come in? And I mean, they had amazing careers there.
And what I'll say is Jameer was unbelievable from day one, and so I'm coming in and making the team as a walk-on as a sophomore, and he's a freshman. And he's still getting after it in practice every day. He's trying to prove his worth, and, he hadn't accomplished much at that point. He was in a little bit less heralded recruits. There was more heralded guys point guards coming out of New York City in that class rather than him coming from Chester, PA. So he goes to St. Joe's, not as well known, borderline top 100 guy. So he was going at it every day in practice. And I got there and I said, I better hit the weight room because this dude is 5'10" and $190 and strong and physical. But what a player. And you could tell just his IQ from such an early stage was off the charts. And then Delonte was a little bit different. He got there, again, kind of unheralded, a little bit of a late bloomer, and was solid his freshman year as kind of a backup. He didn't have the immediate impact that Jameer did. But the way that he worked, Delonte went from making 2 threes his freshman year. He was 2 for 18 his whole freshman year from 3 to then shooting 40% from 3 as a sophomore. One of the hardest workers I've been around.
Yeah.
Just an unbelievable worker. Slept in the gym that summer, was in the locker room. Like, there was nights he'd just wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and walk out and go shoot. He was just one of the hardest workers I've been around. And I brought this up with Braden last week because I said the 3 hardest workers I've been around since I've been in college basketball are Delonte West, Justin Wright Foreman at Hofstra, and Braden Shrewsberry.
Really?
those are the 3 hardest workers.
That's good company.
Yeah, it's good company. But that he was the gold standard. I was as hard of a worker as we had and competitive, but Delonte West was just a different level, and obviously that took him to wonderful heights in an NBA career.
Logan, when were you born? What year?
2004.
Okay, so that was that year. So do you know about Jameer and Delonte? Are you familiar with that team? Or
Not the team. I mean, I know Jameer
Jameer Nelson. Yeah. Who were your guys growing up then? Who were you watching? Who were the basketball players you looked up to growing up as a young kid?
College-wise, I was a Wisconsin fan growing up. My dad was a UW graduate, so I was big into Wisconsin. Like when Sam Decker was there, Frank Kaminsky,
like the 2015 team,
back-to-back Final Four runs and stuff. Yeah, they had some good teams, so I watched them. I mean, I would just always have like basketball on TV. Like my first like real fan was Kevin Durant. Like I was a huge Kevin Durant fan. Him and Steve Nash, those are like my 2 guys growing up. So
I'm a Seattle native.
Okay.
So we got Durant for 1 year after he was drafted. Then they moved the team out to OKC. So we kind of latch on to KD, but we never got what we thought we should have gotten out.
Right. Yeah. Not the full experience.
Yeah. What about Nash? Do you like when you watched him growing up?
I just feel like he's a true point guard. You know, I just kind of thought like the way, he made a lot of flashy plays too. So like when you're younger, you like seeing that stuff. But I think like just a lot of things he did on the court were just winning plays. And I feel like that's just fun to watch.
He's like a great soccer player too. That's, I think, what he said. He attributes a lot of his like vision and like team nature too, is that he's got able to see the floor as a soccer player, which I thought was interesting. What's the adjustment been like coming to this level? Like I asked Marcus Burton when he was here a couple weeks ago about how difficult the practices were, and he said he called his mom the first time. He said, I don't know if I can make it.
Yeah.
What's it been like for you coming to this level and getting used to practices or games at this level?
Yeah, well, it's not just Marcus, if you was wondering. It's all of us. So, I mean, I've definitely had talks to my parents like, this is next level stuff. No, it's been awesome. I mean, I've really enjoyed the whole entire, like, every time I step on the court with my teammates and stuff, and all the practices have been great. But I mean, it's definitely like the competitiveness and the toughness that it takes here. It's a whole nother level that I feel like you can always think you say you're ready for it until you actually get thrown into the fire, and you're just like, all right, well, let's figure it out, And I feel like you just got to keep going and like put in the work every day. Like it's not just like you can do it some days and like you get the rewards from it. It's like it's a consistent every single day thing you got to do. And I mean, that's just that's what you got to do.
So okay, fill me in. So I played high school basketball. That's it. And like practices would be hard because they might run us one day. Like when does a practice get really hard? What makes it really hard at this level? Like what are the things that make it difficult on you?
I feel like just I mean, there's a lot of wear and tear in your body and stuff. So like now that we're in season, obviously just like playing all the time and then just like having practice, like you get tired, but at the same time it's like there's like moments in practice you can tell you're like, oh, here it comes. Like it's about to get ripped. He knows what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Really, no. Yeah, no. It's just like the gym's kind of quiet. Shrew, like we might have. It's like 5-on-0, and you turn the ball over or something like that, or you're not. You make a couple defensive errors, and it's like, oh, here it comes. Like, and then he, gets on us, and then that's like when practice is like, all right, everyone lock in. We gotta figure this out. Like hang out with or be with each other through it all, and just grind out however much we got left. Like, 'cause, that's how. We got to figure it out.
Coach, for you then, I'm curious because it is a young team and you were a freshman and you've coached freshmen. What's the process like? How do you have to get people that are new to college basketball acclimated to this level without obviously wearing them down? As he said, they got to be able to play. They got to be able to go. Right. Like, what's the philosophy from you guys as a staff, and what's maybe the biggest challenge when you bring someone on campus to get them prepared for this level?
It's so much, Tony. I think it's the biggest adjustment too you make. If you go through a basketball career and you say, okay, well, you go from a middle school player to a high school player, or you go from a college player to a pro or to an NBA, of like, most guys that end up making the NBA, they're already pros. They're acting like pros when they're in college, right? So the adjustment now from high school to college is the biggest one, so you have to be aware of it and the learning curve. And, we put a lot on these guys' shoulders. These guys are expected to come in day one. These guys haven't had the luxury of being a normal freshman of like, okay, we're just going to, hey, maybe you're going to redshirt. Maybe you're just going to be a 12th man. Maybe you're going to, like we're throwing them to the fire pretty early here, which in the long term is going to be great for them. Right. And going to be the best thing of, you look at what these guys are going to be like as sophomores next year, as juniors, and you get really excited, because you say, man, they're already getting thrown to the fire. They're already getting these great experiences that some guys don't get for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. So in the end, it's going to be great. In the interim, it could be hard, right? There can be some tough moments. And I think just consistently building these guys up as much as you can, as well as learning in different ways, and you got to figure out as a coach, what are the best ways to get through to these guys? Is it getting on the floor with them, walking through stuff? Is it getting on the floor with them and doing live drills? Is it grabbing the laptop and watching clips from practices and games? And to our guys' credit, they've done an unbelievable job. Logan's in there all the time with Coach Trey Whitted, working and developing his game. You always see him with Grady Eifert and the laptop and watching film and growing and progressing. So you have to go above and beyond, to really make this adjustment and to speed this adjustment up. And again, that's part of us of sometimes you have the luxury of having a learning curve.
Yeah.
But we don't have that luxury this year, so helping, and from day one in June, helping these guys do that to, now as we're in the flow of the season, got to go a little bit above and beyond. To these guys' credit, they've done everything we've asked, and they've asked for more too, in terms of wanting to learn and grow. And that's a credit to these guys.
Last one before we take a break, I want to ask you, Coach, just about Notre Dame. We talked about it at the beginning. You've been around a lot of places in college basketball. You've been back east and seen a lot of the college landscape. When you got the opportunity to come here, just what excites you about being in South Bend, being able to coach at this university?
It's just an awesome place. Growing up as an Irish Catholic kid, New York and right outside New York City, and you see Notre Dame on TV on college football games, right? And you grow up and you're saying, Troy Murphy and Chris Thomas and all the great players you've had here in the tradition, it's really unbelievable. One of my college teammates, Pat Carroll, his brother Matt was a great player here and then went on to play in the NBA for a long time. So followed Notre Dame closely there. So you see, this is the epitome of high-level academics, high-level athletics, and obviously the Catholic based, school here, the epitome of that too in this country. So you have everything at the highest level. So for me, that was unbelievable. I'm getting a little bit further away from the Atlantic Ocean, which is, getting my summers at the Jersey Shore just get a little bit tougher. Probably the only negative I have. Otherwise, it's a great place, a supportive environment. I've always really loved and appreciated going to and then working at Catholic schools. Yeah. I really do feel that the support that you get, the community nature of those schools truly is different. And you really do get that feeling here as soon as you walk on campus. We've experienced that so far. And, for my family and I, it's great to be here. And the type of kids that you get to coach here at Notre Dame as well, guys like Logan Imes and Braden and Marcus and the whole crew that we have, it's who I love coaching, who I want to be with every day. So it's been great.
All right, Coach, appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break and come right back. All right. We now have the pleasure of being joined by a very special guest, Bonsy Coulson, former Notre Dame great, first team All-ACC. Bonzie, this is really an interview I've been looking forward to for a long time. I'm going to start you off with what we call our coldest moment of the week segment, okay? It's presented by Yeti. I want you to tell me, and I have a couple in mind, but I'll let you go first. What was Bonsy Coulson's coldest moment at Notre Dame?
My coldest moment? Only one?
Giving you just one to start.
Okay, one. Oh, man. One that sticks out to me is when I got a rebound from Jaleel Okafor. And I grabbed it and I kind of posed with the ball and I think I looked at him kind of intense. And that kind of was a kind of just a momentum swing during the game. But I think that photo right there just kind of implemented me of how I kind of play, while I was at Notre Dame, just energetic and hard every possession.
Was this in a game at Cameron, at Purcell? Where was this game?
I think it was at Purcell's. I think I was a freshman. Oh. And we were going on a run, and I got this crazy rebound, and I think that kind of just started it a little bit. I believe I was a freshman. I could be mistaken, though.
Okay. My coldest moment, I know it came in a loss, but that performance in the ACC championship game against Duke, I think when you had 29, that whole game, I think that was junior year when you guys just came up short. That, to me, was your coldest moment because that was Bonzie was putting the team on his back, and you guys almost got it done. What do you remember from that game?
One photo. I thought you meant a photo or something. You talk about a game. Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that's the one. What do you remember from that game that year?
Man, it was a really solid year for us. I remember that game. There was a lot of ups and downs, and I think we were down a lot of the first half. And I think I remember Grayson Allen had like a layup to end the half. And we kind of had to regroup at halftime, and we came out saying, "Listen, we're gonna give it our all. We're gonna if we lose this game, we're gonna come out swinging." So it was a emotional game. It was a lot of ups and downs, and I tried to do my best to, not just me, but to will us to a victory. So I remember that game.
When I think of your career, you were here for some amazing moments in Notre Dame men's basketball history, right? The Elite Eight runs. You mentioned the game you just had there out in the ACC tournament. What are the moments when you think back on your career that come to mind that are most vivid and are the most special to you in your time at Notre Dame?
Man, there's a lot. I mean, freshman, you coming in as a freshman, and then obviously, like you said, win the ACC championship, and then going to the Elite Eight. And then doing it again my sophomore year was special. And I think just every year we were a family on and off the court. And, I still talk to a lot of the guys to this day. But a special moment I think was when I played, I think my junior year, we played Florida State. And we were home, and that was my 1,000th career point. And I had like that put back layup off of Steve Smith in the corner. And I like tipped the ball. I tipped it in, and like the crowd was going crazy. I think Dick Vitale was announcing the game, and it was a special moment. But that stuck out for sure.
The moment I wanted to ask you about too, you mentioned earlier the first year winning the ACC, then you guys were playing that Kentucky team, and you really pushed them. Like I really thought, I've gone back and watched those highlights, and I'm like, I really thought these guys were going to win this game. And Jaren had that shot at the end. I was watching it last night, and you're on the bench, and you have an angle of it. You're kind of just up the sideline a little bit. When he stepped back and let it go, was there any point where you thought, oh my gosh, this might go in, and we might go to the Final Four?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wasn't a moment I didn't think we were going to lose that game. And, Jaren led us throughout that whole year. So it was only right for him to, to take that shot. And, it was a tough shot. I think Willie Cauley-Stein was guarding him. Yeah. And Willie Cauley was picking up 90 feet and just sliding with him the whole way. And it was a tough shot, but, you want your senior, Jaren, who led us, who was one of our captains, to take the shot. And I was like, as it went up, I was like, okay, I think we might be going to the Final Four, but obviously it came up short. But, that whole year was just so fun. It was great. A lot of memories from that year.
The other year I wanted to ask you about was your senior year, because I think what comes to mind is you had the injury. And that was the year you guys won Maui. You were top 5 in the country. Like, that was a team that I think could have made as good of a run, if not a deeper run, if you guys stay healthy. What do you think about when you think about your senior year? Because you were coming off such a great junior season, and it never felt like you guys got to reach your potential. What comes to mind when you think of that season?
Man, it was a resilient group that year. It was tough for us, not only for myself, obviously missing a lot of my senior year, but thinking back on it, I think we had a lot of injuries. I remember Matt was hurt. Matt Farrell was hurt. I think DJ Harvey, no, was he gone? I think TJ Gibbs was hurt. I remember we had a lot of injuries that year, and we had to always overcome something. And we still had guys, coming ready to play every night. But it was a tough year for me, obviously missing my senior year after, the year I had in my junior year, coming back with my boy Matty Farrell trying to lead us to, back to the Elite Eight, Final Four, trying to, have a special year. So it was very tough, but I was trying to do what I can, to help, other guys, be successful as best as I can.
It's hard to believe because that was 2017-18. It's been more than 5 years since then. Time flies.
Exactly.
For those that maybe haven't followed your career now that you're overseas, just take us through what you've done, really, let's say, since 2018 and where basketball has taken you around the world at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I was with the Bucks for a little bit throughout my first year, my rookie year. Which was a great experience for me. But then they waived me, and then I came overseas. I played with Darüşşafaka in Istanbul, Turkey. Had a really good year, but that was also COVID year. And after that year, I was in Strasbourg, France, which was, I think my best year as a pro. I won 2 MVPs. I was an MVP of the Basketball Champions League, and I also was an MVP of the French League. So that kind of was my stamp of me being kind of a really solid professional basketball player. And then from there, I played with Karşıyaka, which is in Izmir, Turkey. I had a really solid year. And then ever since then, I've been with Maccabi Tel Aviv, which is in a EuroLeague team. The best team in Israel, a very legendary club in Europe. A lot of pros from the NBA have played with this team, and it's been a great year. We went to we won the Israeli League last year. We were in the top 8 last year as well in the EuroLeague, losing to Monaco. So it's been great this year. It's been a little bit different with the war going on. So we're currently in Belgrade, Serbia, playing without fans. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but at the end of the day, myself and my teammates, we still get to do what we love in hoops. So I've had a blessed, and I'm truly thankful for how I played as a pro, and I'm just trying to, continue to do what I do.
It's amazing just to hear you lay it out, to see how much of the world you've seen because of basketball. Yeah. I wanted to ask you coming into this too, then, having gone through that and gone through the last 5 years professionally, when you think back to your time at Notre Dame, what did the experience here do to set you up for that success? How has Notre Dame helped you as you've gone abroad and seen so many parts of the world and then had all the success you have had as a professional basketball player?
Yeah, Notre Dame always has had a special place in my heart. I mean, what they instill with you of just being a great guy on and off the court, and just instilling principles that I live on to this day. So I've been forever thankful for being at Notre Dame. I still watch them here and there. I still have that Notre Dame pride with me, arguing with, other really talented college basketball players that I've seen or that I've played against while I'm a pro, still saying we're the best no matter who I'm talking to. So it's been special, and I'm just thankful that Notre Dame but they gave me that jump start to really doing what I love. And, I'm happy with where I'm at.
When was the last time you were back on campus?
It's been a while. I think I went back when I was with the Bucks, maybe with Pat.
Okay.
It's been a while.
So it's been a minute. Before 2020, before COVID?
Yeah, way before COVID, yeah.
Dang. Okay, so I have an important question I've been asking everybody that comes on this show, and it's about the dining halls. I need you to tell me which dining hall is superior, North or South dining hall?
North, for sure. North. I mean, I was in Siegfried, so I was – see, this is the thing. North, I mean, I don't know how it is now, but back then we had the pasta making. You didn't have that at South. South, of course, was bigger. Everybody would go there. But North, you can make the pasta. It just was different. It was a different vibe there. And I think, and I lived in Siegfried, so I always was there, a lot of the, throughout my time there. So I'm always North.
I love that. You, I think, graduated right around when they'd either just renovated it or just finished the renovation of North. But Old North is iconic. It is so good, like you said. The pasta situation, it's so much better. It's South distracts people with the stained glass, and it looks really beautiful. But when you get down to the food operation, we're going to North every time.
Yeah, the food was way better at North every time. And I've always stuck by North no matter. This is years later, and I'm still saying the same thing.
When you come back, we'll get you to North. The last question I have for you before we take a quick break is just about this current team. Obviously, Coach Shrewsberry is in his first year here. I know you've had a chance to be in touch with him. Just what have your impressions been of Coach Shrewsberry? Around here, everyone's really excited about what he's done, just getting this program and getting some new young guys on campus. What excites you about the future under a new head coach here in South Bend?
Yeah, I mean, I've contacted Shrewsberry a couple of times, first congratulating him on, being the head coach. I know him, obviously, and then when they got their first win, I congratulated them. So we've been in contact here and there. And, within the team, they have a lot of grit within themselves. They play hard. Obviously, they're young, which is okay at the moment. I mean, not at the moment, but which is okay. But, guys playing, every possession like it's their last. Their defense is, very strong, which is important, which is, no matter what's going on the offensive end, they always could bounce back on the defensive end. So, that's a good identity that they have. And I heard that their practices are pretty tough too. 2-hour practices. So, that's a little bit different than what Coach Bray era. But I've heard nothing but good things. Obviously, he coached under with Brad Stevens, I believe, so he has a lot of knowledge from a great coach in college basketball and in the NBA. So I see nothing but success for him in the program.
To your point, we've had a couple of players on the show so far this year, and they agree. The practices very hard so far to start the season.
I feel bad, man. That's something that I had to get. No, I don't feel bad, but that's something I had to get used to being a pro because with Coach Bray, we didn't practice longer than maybe 2. And so now I'm a pro, and we're doing 2.5, going hard. So it was a big adjustment, but they'll be all right.
All right, Bonzie, we're going to take a quick break and then come back with our From the Irish segment. All right, Bonzie, it's time for our From the Irish segment. It's presented by TireRack.com. We got a great question today. It's from Josh B. out of St. Louis, okay? He says, Notre Dame's first ever win at Cameron Indoor Stadium, you played a big role. 31 points and 11 rebounds against a top 10 Duke squad. What do you remember from that game, and where does it rank in your ACC memories?
I remember that game, and the reason why I have such a strong memory of it is because Coach Bray, he didn't start me that game. So I remember being on the bench, and, obviously, I was starting a little bit, so I wanted to continue to start. I have nothing wrong with coming off the bench, but at this time, so I remember I, tapped Coach Inglesby. And I was at Inglesby, I need to be in this game right now. I need to be in the game, put me in, coach. That was my mentality. Put me in right now, coach. So I was just the environment was amazing. It was just so fun to play in there, as everybody knows, and I was just ready to hoop. So that has a special place in my heart, just be obviously how I played and we won, and the environment and who we played against, and the whole thing was just an amazing game. So I think that's probably one top 3 for me, maybe 1.
I want to ask a follow-up then about Cameron Indoor, because as you said, it's an iconic venue. You were looking forward to playing in it. Describe to me what it's like to play there. Is there any other place you've played that's more spectacular than that? Just what is it like to be on the floor at Cameron Indoor Arena?
It's amazing. I mean, the fans are right on, they're right next to you when you play. I remember when Steve Vistori was taking the ball out, you see all, the Duke, the crazy, what are they? The
Cameron Crazies.
Whatever their fans were. Yeah, the Cameron Crazies, their fingers were touching his shoulders. So it's just amazing. It's such a legendary historical program with so many pros that have gone through there and have been great NBA players. So you feel that energy. The fans talk smack to you. They know where you're from, your mother, if you had a girlfriend. They know that the fans all have about 5 things about you that they can talk trash about you. So it just motivates you a little bit, for sure.
Bonzie, great to talk to you. Thanks for taking some time to join us on Wake Up the Echoes. We'll keep following you abroad. Good luck with the rest of your professional career. And if you're back in South Bend, let me know. We're going to go to North Dining Hall, all right?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Go Irish.
That'll do it for this week's edition of Wake Up the Echoes, presented by TireRack.com. Thanks, as always, to head coach Micah Shrewsberry for stopping by, and thanks to Logan Imes, as well as assistant coach Mike Fairley, for the time as well. Big ups to Bonsy Coulson. Appreciate him stopping by to relive some of the glory days. And don't forget, you can submit a question to our guests every week at fightingirish.com/wakeup. Please download, subscribe, drop us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and we'll talk to you next week when women's basketball is back in the hot seat. We'll have Niele Ivey here on set on the next edition of Wake Up the Echo.